My text for this morning, as you see on the other service, taken from the Gospel and the Psalm. John's Gospel 1 to 45, verse 21 says, Martha said to Jesus, "If you had been here, my brother would not have died." When Mary reached the place where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet and said the same thing. "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." Our Psalms 130, verse 5 and 6. I wait for the Lord, my soul waits for the Lord, and in his word I put my hope. My soul waits for the Lord more than watchmen waits for the morning, more than watchmen waits for the morning. Friends of Askew Road, we must wait for the Lord. Our soul must wait. And let us put our hope in his word. Why, shall I ask? For the Lord is full of unfailing love and redemption. He himself will redeem us, redeem Israel, redeem our friends, our family, our nations, everyone. But that's his promise this morning. My theme is taken from this Tongan proverb I'd like to share with you. It's a story from sailors. You know, during the days, the time of sailing ships, this is way before steamship and diesel engine ships were invented. So transport from islands to islands, Tonga is made up of about 67 little islands. And to travel from one island to another, there has to be a boat. And I'm not talking about these big timber sailing ships sailed by Captain Cook. I'm talking about, you know, traditional Tongan ships built from two ships. It's like a catamaran, the way they construct it today. And they only have one big sail and stood in the middle. And that, you know, the middle is where they stay, where they put everything there, the passengers stay. And that's how the Tongans move from an island to an island. And for your information, Tonga at one stage ruled Fiji and Samoa, part of Fiji and the whole of Samoa. And that's how they travel by the sea. But their travel was mainly based on these ship, on this sail. So on windy, fair wind day, they travel fast and swift. But on smooth day, very calm and no wind, it's just the waves and the current dictate where it goes. So it stays like that for days until they hit fair wind, and then they can travel. And this Tongan proverb comes from there. You know, when they go on board and they say, how fast are you going to be from here to there, A to B or C to D? The response comes is, it all depends on the sky. And that's the Tongan translation. But it means the boat will just float and wait for the heavens, for God to send wind so that they can go, so that they can travel faster. And that's the proverb, the Tongan proverb that I bring, which I think is applicable to the story of Lazarus. Martha and Mary sent Jesus a message. The person you love is sick. Jesus received the message, but decided to stay for another 2 more days. Jesus was preaching, as you all know. He was healing. And he was in Jerusalem. Judea is only about 2 miles. And we all know, we can walk a mile in about 20 minutes. And for 2 miles, maybe we can do it within an hour. But considering the context, the nature of Israel, mountainous, rough at that time, maybe it would take Jesus maybe 2 to 3 hours and his disciples to go from Jerusalem to Judea. But Jesus decided that they're not going at that moment in time. This was an SOS. This was a mayday call from Martha and Mary about their brother Lazarus, who Jesus loved. They waited. Jesus didn't arrive. Lazarus passed away. They were hoping that Jesus would come in time to heal his sickness so that he will be alive. But his failure to show up meant Lazarus died. Yeah, they were worried. They were anxious. They were angry, feeling betrayed, hoping test. The sisters must have felt this and more. Would we not, fellow Christians? For the loss of loved ones is a struggle for us. This is the end of Lazarus. For the sisters, they must have concluded, that's it. Now we have sealed his grave. That's it. No hope. No hope whatsoever that he could be raised from the dead. Yes, but only until the heavens open up and the wind blows on the sail of your boat, and then you will travel. The ship sailed, and Jesus arrived after 4 days. He arrived after 4 days of the burial. But it is for the God's glory that God's Son may be glorified through it. That's what Jesus said. 2 days passed, then he told his disciples that they are going back to Judea. They started yapping and complaining. We have been there, and we were lucky that we were almost stoned. Yet you want us to go back? Sometimes we felt the negativity of doing God's works by counting the cost, the problems faced before any actions are being committed and undertaken. Jesus clarified and explained to them and to us that a day has 12 hours of daytime. So we shouldn't stumble. At night, there will be no light. And that's when we have to stumble. They didn't realize that Jesus was talking about him. I am the light. We are traveling with me. He is the light of the world. He went on to say that his friend Lazarus has fallen asleep. So he's going there to wake him up. His disciples responded, if he's asleep, then he will get better. He will wake up. Jesus was again talking about his death. His disciples were thinking, he is asleep. Sometimes when our faith is weak, we tend to be in two minds. And we seem to be lack in wisdom because we are always sometimes confused. And that's what happened to his disciple. They were confused. Lack of faith, yes. Lack of understanding, yes. Lack of wisdom, yes. Then Jesus dropped the bomb. Lazarus is dead. And for your sake, I am glad that we didn't go. I thought about this. And Jesus meant that he was glad that they didn't go so that Lazarus passed away, physically dead for 4 days. Because Jesus knows that when he get there, he will raise him from the dead. And that may lock their faith in. But given that it was normal for Jesus to heal people, heal every sicknesses, make the blind see, make the dumb speak, the lame walk, the leper. Everything Jesus does, heal, pray for, they got healed. We learned that Jesus had raised Jairus' daughter, the widow's son. There were two that he already raised. So this is number 3 or number 4. And yet his disciples still question. Even the Jews who was there, they had the logic. They were saying, if he had opened the blind man's eye, the previous scripture last week was talking about Jesus healing the blind. If Jesus had healed the blind, that maybe he could have saved Lazarus. Even the Jews, but his men, his disciples, were just like all raised in the Jew. Martha had that Jesus had arrived. So she came and met him. My brother would not have died if only you were here. Jesus responded and said, your brother will rise again. Martha turn again, say, yes, I know he will when the judgment comes around. Jesus responded and said, I am the resurrection and the life. I am the controller of life. I can raise people from the dead. Then he declared the importance of having faith in him, that those who believe in him will live even though they die. And whoever lives and believes in him will never die. Yes, for I mean Jesus, is the way, the truth, and the life. Mary repeated the same thing. If only you were here, my brother would not have died. Funny the way they complain or they blame Jesus. When they say, if only you were here, my brother would not have died. My, not our brother. You remember when Jesus first came to their house? And Martha was busy making food and preparing tea, drinks, and everything. And Mary sit by Jesus and talk and keep him company. And Martha came around and said, Jesus, tell my sister to come and help me. I am tired. The including of me, my, instead of our brother, tells us there's competition. Sometimes in our lives, in our church, in our family, there's competition among us. Sometimes we try to solve other people's issues in life, yet we can't sort ourselves out. And no wonder Jesus said, fix yourself first. Take everything that blinded your eyes before you look at other people. Because that's what happened here. He was saying, Jesus, if only you were here, my brother. Martha said, my brother. Mary said, my brother. They should have said, our brother. Yes, Jesus wept for his love of Lazarus and Mary's humility. When Martha came to Jesus, they just talked on a level. Maybe they just came and hugged him, and then they talked. But Mary came, and we learned that she fell on the ground, on his feet, and cried from there. Friends, that's how we have to approach our God, with humility. But that's our level. Our level is the dust, where we came from and where we'll go. She fell on her feet, showed total surrender, total obedience, and say, yes, Lord, speak thou, Lord, for your servant heareth. The calling of Samuel and his response is ours too today. The best of our deeds, the top of our accomplishments, our thoughts, our plans, our aspirations, our talents, is where God starts. That's the starting point of our God. Our very best is ground level. That's our very best. But the dust that we came from, we will return to it. Lazarus, come out. But Lord, there's a bad odor, for he has been there for 4 days. The dead man came out, his hands and feet wrapped with strips of linen and a cloth around his face. And Jesus said to them, take off the grave clothes and let him go. Christians, our roles as Christians is to unwrap, is to help our fellow Christians unwrap their grave clothes. Wash their feet like Jesus did. Help each other wherever we are needed. Paul's epistles to the Romans highlight this aim, this objective, to wear and put Jesus in our hearts. For the mind of a sinful man is death, but the mind controlled by the Spirit is life and peace. A sinful mind is hostile and full of bad odor to God. Does not submit to God's law, nor can it be so. Those controlled by the sinful nature cannot please God. The book of Ezekiel tells us about the prophecy that God gave Ezekiel. The prophecy to the dry bones, that God will give to them, breathe to them the breath of life. The four winds will bring life to them. God will raise every bones, every Israelite, and bring them together. God's Spirit will fill them. And that's what we see today. Israel are all coming together, going back home to Israel, to the kingdom that God had built. Oh, Israel. Oh, Askew Road. Let's put our hope in the Lord. For with the Lord is unfailing love, and with him is full redemption. He himself will redeem us, redeem Israel, redeem the United Kingdom of Great Britain from all our sins. Amen.